I'm Jude, and this is Philip, and together we are Follow the Van.
And today we're going to be talking about rosé. The sun is shining, seems like a perfect day to be talking about the pink stuff. I remember Jude and I were talking to some of our guests a couple of years ago about how rosé was made, and one person made the not unreasonable assumption that rosé wine was simply a matter of taking a red wine and mixing it with a white wine, and hey presto, you make rosé. Now, in Champagne area, bizarrely, you'd be absolutely right. That's how pink champagne is made. But in the rest of France, that is absolutely banned. And in Provence, where the best rosé comes from, it's considered a complete no-no. In fact, it's considered a heresy.
So how do you make rosé?
Well, these wines from Provence, from the same grape varieties, Grenache, Syrah, Cinsault, all made in the same way. The black grapes are taken. They are crushed, the juice is colourless, but when that juice is kept on the skins, just for maybe a couple of hours, the pigment which is in the skins leaches out into the juice and colours them. Anything from, depending on how long you leave it on the skins, from the pale kind of coral colour all the way through to almost an amber colour.
So here, this beautiful pale colour is achieved by keeping the skins into the mixture for a shorter time than this darker coloured one.
Correct, maybe just for a couple of hours.
Well, you've already said that rosé is associated with hot weather, with sunshine, with lazy days. Is it a wine that we should take seriously?
I think it's true to say that if we backtrack maybe 30 years, rosé wine had a bit of a reputation problem with serious wine people. There were brands around in the UK like Matus Rosé, like Zinfandel in America, known as Blush. These were semi-industrial products. They were semi-sweet. Most wine people were quite snobbish about them. And to be honest, if you had any taste buds, you probably thought they were a bit yuck. These days, wine made from France, particularly from the France area, is clean, crisp and well made and dry.
So what do we have here today?
We have here two very different styles of rosé from the Provence region. This first wine is Mirabeau. It's a classic Côte de Provence from the Mediterranean area, from the hot terroir of the Mediterranean. As you can see, pale pink, around 13% alcohol. They come as low as 12.5% in Côte de Provence. Delicate floral and summer berry flavours and good zingy acidity, nice and refreshing in the mouth. It's what I consider to be the perfect deck chair rosé.
So yes, this is a wine that does go well with light summer dishes if you were going to pair it with food, but it's also delicious as an aperitif, and it can be drunk on its own without food, but perhaps with some of the some tapas or something like we have here, some marinated olives, some quail's eggs which have been hard boiled, which are really nice dipped in that salt and cumin mixture there. Or at the end there's some rosemary biscuits which are made out of parmesan, rosemary, butter flour and sea salt, and just very simply moulded into a madeleine mould.
And they're delicious, so Moorish I could finish a whole plate in seconds, but I'll resist.
And what about the second bottle?
This one is very different wine. This is a Tavel rosé. So Tavel is the village right opposite Châteauneuf-du-Pape on the Rhone River. Tavel is the only appellation in France that's dedicated to rosé production. If it's a Tavel, it must be a rosé. And they come in these rather lovely flute bottles with the embossed Tavel crest there on the bottle. Different in many ways, so much higher in alcohol. This one is 14.5% alcohol. I've seen them go as high as 15%, so as strong as a big beefy red Rhone wine. And robust in nature, so the character of the wine, big red fruit flavours. We're talking strawberry, raspberry, red currant here. I like to think of this as summer pudding in a glass.
But it's not sweet.
It's bone dry, absolutely bone dry. That's what the French call a gourmand wine, by which they mean it's a wine for the table, not really for the deck chair. This one is for the table. It is meant to pair with food. In fact, if you go into Domaine de la Mordaie's tasting room, the very first thing they're going to hand you is a recipe leaflet.
And interestingly, this wine goes with quite strong flavoured food. So Asian dishes, or we have here this North African, a tagine, which has Moroccan spices, ginger, turmeric. So it's quite a rich flavoured dish, and it does pair very well with Tavel.
If you go into, for example, a Vietnamese restaurant in Paris and you ask the sommelier what's going to go well with spicy food, always difficult to pair with, almost invariably they're going to recommend a Tavel.
So I'll put that to one side because I want to ask you about this. What is this?
So this is a rosé from one of our favourite wineries, Domaine de Morchamp. It's Côte de Rhone Séguret domain, high in the Dentelle Hills. And this one cuts a very nice mid-channel between the robust flavours of the Tavel and the light, refreshing, zingy acidity of the Côte de Provence. It borrows a bit from both.
So you could say that it has a foot in each camp.
Absolutely.
So, like the Tavel rosé, it's really lovely with food. Perhaps not the very spicy food that I recommended for the Tavel, but lots of lovely summer dishes such as summer salads, chicken dishes, fish dishes, vegetarian dishes. But interestingly, it's also like the Provence rosé, it's really lovely drunk alone, perhaps with some of these things to accompany it. And I think
at this point, we'd like a glass of rosé.
cheers.
Cheers, Jude. Cheers.